All right, let's get right into it. We're always told that killer trading is all about finding that one perfect strategy, right? That magic indicator. But the truth, the real truth, is that consistent profits don't come from your charts. They come from what's going on right between your ears. So this whole explainer is going to be about mastering that inside game.
So let me just ask you, straight up, why is it that you hold on to your losing trades for way too long, just hoping and praying they'll turn around, but then you cut your winners off at the knees at the very first sign of profit? You see a perfect setup, you take the trade, and then something inside just snaps. You throw the plan out the window. It is, without a doubt, one of the most maddening things about trading.
And here's the kicker. This isn't a strategy problem. Nope, it's a neuroscience problem. See, our brains have evolved over millennia to deal with, tigers in the grass, not with financial risk. So every single time you click that mouse to place a trade, you're firing up an ancient survival system that is completely, totally mismatched for the modern market.
Now, this mismatch creates what I like to call a trading glitch, and it's driven by three very specific, hardwired cognitive biases. These things are amazing for keeping you alive out in the wild, but man, they are absolutely devastating for your trading account. Let's break them down. Okay, first on the list is loss aversion. Psychologically, the pain you feel from a loss is about twice as intense as the pleasure you get from an equal-sized gain. Think about that. This is precisely why you'll do almost anything, like moving your stop loss, to avoid taking that small planned loss. It's because your brain is just screaming at you to avoid that pain, even if it means risking a much, much bigger disaster down the road.
Next up, we've got recency bias. Your brain is totally obsessed with what just happened. You take 3 losses in a row, and suddenly you're convinced your entire strategy is garbage. Then you hit 3 winners, and you feel like a market genius, ready to double your risk. The problem is, neither one of those feelings has anything to do with the actual long-term reality of your trading edge.
And last but not least, we have the sneakiest one of them all, confirmation bias. The second you enter a trade, your brain becomes your personal hype man. Seriously, it starts hunting for every single piece of information that proves you're right, while conveniently filtering out all the flashing red warning signs telling you might be dead wrong. This isn't some character flaw, by the way. It's just how our brains are built.
So, how in the world do you fix a problem that's literally hardwired into your brain? Well, you don't fight it with willpower. That's a losing battle. You bypass it with structure. What you need is a simple, non-emotional, rules-based system that is designed for one thing and one thing only: survival.
And the absolute cornerstone of that survival code is this number right here, 1%. This is probably the single most important rule in all of trading. You never, ever, under any circumstances, risk more than 1% of your trading account on a single idea. Period. No exceptions. Just look at the brutal, undeniable math on this slide. It tells the entire story. If you risk just 1%, a 10-trade losing streak, and trust me, that will happen, it's just a small, manageable dip. You can recover. But look what happens when you risk 5%, or God forbid 10% per trade. The losses are catastrophic. You'd need a 67% or even a 185% gain just to get back to where you started. The numbers just don't lie. Risking big makes long-term survival a mathematical impossibility. But why does a rigid rule like this actually work on a psychological level? Well, it's because these ideas about managing risk and uncertainty, they're not new. Not at all. They're part of a blueprint for human behavior that's been understood for thousands of years. I mean, check out this piece of wisdom from the book of Proverbs, written almost 3,000 years ago. It is a perfect description of risk management. A professional trader, a prudent person, foresees the danger, that potential loss, and takes precautions. And that ancient wisdom translates directly into a non-negotiable modern rule. Taking precautions simply means you define your exact stop loss and your maximum risk in dollars before you ever get into the trade. You make the smart, rational decision when you're calm, not when you're in the heat of the moment with money on the line. Now, let's talk about that internal battle. This quote from the Apostle Paul is, I think, one of the most honest descriptions of self-sabotage ever written. It's that awful feeling of knowing exactly what you should do, but being completely powerless to actually do it when the pressure is on. And this just nails the core struggle for so many of us traders. You've got a plan, you know the rules, but when the market's whipping around and your emotions are running high, you end up doing the very thing you swore to yourself you wouldn't do. It's that constant war between your rational self and your impulsive self.
Okay, so all of this brings us to the final and I think the most critical part of this whole thing, It's time to stop talking and start doing. It's time for what I call the mirror test.
You know, most of us, we feel like we're pretty disciplined traders. We'd like to think we are. But here's the thing. Feelings aren't data. Your actual discipline is a hard number. It's a percentage you can calculate. So the real question is, what is your score?
And here's exactly how you find out. It's simple. Step 1, pull up the records for your last 20 trades. Step 2, go through them one by one and ask a simple yes or no question. Did I follow every single one of my rules for entry, stop, and position size? And you have to be brutally honest here. Step 3, take the number of yes trades and divide it by 20. That percentage, that's your score.
And this score is going to tell you exactly what you need to work on. If you're above 90%, fantastic. Your results are a true reflection of your strategy's edge. But if you're below 70, you have to face a really hard truth. You aren't actually trading your strategy at all. You're just trading your emotions, and no amount of tweaking your strategy is going to fix that. Your only job is to fix the discipline.
Just remember this, the mirror doesn't lie. That number you calculate, it might make you uncomfortable, but it's also the most powerful tool you have. It's your honest-to-God starting line. It's the data point that separates vague feelings from real, measurable progress. And that right there is where your journey to becoming a consistently profitable trader really begins.